Ladies and gentlemen, with Season of the Chosen, a select batch of both Moon and Dreaming City weapons saw their max infusable power levels updated. And just this past week, Bungie announced that any weapons that have yet to hit their power cap will remain relevant from this point forward. This, to the community's delight, essentially slammed the door on weapon sunsetting. Retold Tale, the Dreaming City shotgun, was one of these weapons that was updated and saw its perk pool refreshed. This shotgun falls in a rare archetype. There have only been 3 precision frame spread shotguns in the game ever. Prophet of Doom from the Garden of Salvation raid was the only other one to escape sunsetting, and Retold Tale, being a Dreaming City weapon, is far more accessible and easily farmable for the bulk of the player base. This is simply a random drop from any Dreaming City activity, and if you go into the Shattered Throne dungeon, there's the curated role stuffed in there. So we'll check out what's going on with Retold Tale in this review and see if it's a weapon worth chasing. But if at any point you find this video useful, helpful, or enjoyable, please remember to leave it a like. And consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel to catch much more Destiny 2 content in the very near future. But let's get into it with a look at Retold Tale's stats and perks. Retold Tale is a legendary void precision frame spread shotgun firing at 65 rounds per minute with a base 6 rounds in the magazine. Intrinsically, precision frame shotguns have a recoil pattern that is more predictably vertical. When hunting down my Retold Tale, I was mainly looking for a crucible shotgun, and I found a pretty solid one. But we'll pull in some solid stats from Destiny Tracker and have a look at those first. By default, precision frame shotguns typically have the best range in the weapon class, and the one we're looking at here is a 93 in that department, boosted by the small bore barrel, accurized rounds, and the range masterwork. Precision frames are typically the most stable shotgun archetype, and this one's getting a little extra boost from small bore also. We do falter a little bit in the handling and the reload speeds, but when you compare them to aggressive frame shotguns, they do come out a little better. And that aim assist value of 75 is best in weapon class, outside of a few exotics. For the 2 perks that I have on this one, in column 1, Quick Draw, providing extremely fast weapon swap speed, and in perk column 2, I have Snapshot Sights, allowing me to aim down sights almost instantly with this thing. So like I said, this is more of a pure PvP role. But I was able to get my hands on this one also. The 2 perks on this one are Slide Shot and 1-2 Punch, so we can test this one out later in the video also. And real quick, we'll head over to d2gunsmith.com so you can see the full perk selection for Retold Tale. You can see these gray ones here were old perks that have been removed from the weapon, and they were replaced with some very nice ones. Most notably in perk column 2, there's no real misses here. I mean, Killing Wind, Vorpal, Demolitionist, even Surrounded on a close range weapon could be pretty solid. All in all, there are a lot of nice options here, and ways for you to build a Retold Tale into your preferred playstyle. But let's move into the PvE section and check out this weapon's functionality, damage, and performance. Alright, just a few functionality aspects to touch on first. As a spread shotgun in Destiny 2, this weapon will fire 12 individual pellets. Pellets fired from shotguns can land as crits, but the crit multiplier, generally speaking, is quite low. If you have the full choke barrel selected, this is going to wipe out nearly all of your extra crit damage. But for our reload speed, just at base, we're looking at 5.57 seconds to reload all 6 shells back into the gun. And the reload animation can be cancelled at any point. With a shotgun loader mod equipped, we can reduce the full reload time down to 4.47 seconds, shaving over a second off of the base reload time. With Retold Tale, you can carry 16 total rounds for this weapon at base, and 18 rounds if you equip a Shotgun Reserves mod. For the damage numbers, and as always, I want to remind you, PvE damage numbers are variable. They can change with different enemy tiers and the content scaling of a given activity. And with legendary weapons having random rolls, there is a lot to factor in when it comes to raw damage output and DPS. If I took every possible scenario into account, this would be a 3-hour video. So I just want to give you a baseline idea of where Retold Tale sits in the weapon class. And one more note, I'm just going to be dealing with body shot damage in this case. The crit multiplier on spread shotguns versus boss and major tier targets is 1.1. Feel free to make the proper adjustments for yourself if you wish. But with Retold Tale, a single pellet is hitting for 1,882.5 points of damage, so the entire spread totals out to 22,590 points of damage. The time to empty our 6-round magazine comes in at 4.58 seconds, so damage per second within a single magazine is 29,594. Moving up an archetype and looking at an aggressive frame shotgun. Felwinter's Crutch deals 2,195.5 points of damage on a single pellet, and 26,346 points of damage for the full spread. And I do have a backup mag on to try to equalize the magazine size just a touch, so we're looking at 5 shots. All 5 shells are discharged in 4.48 seconds, putting our single mag DPS here at 29,404. Moving down an archetype to the lightweight frame shotguns, like Retrofuturist. Here we're registering 1,809 points of damage per pellet, and 21,708 for the full spread. The base 7-round magazine can be emptied in 4.41 seconds, so that puts our single mag DPS at 34,457. And as always, read into these damage numbers as deeply as you would like. I just wanted to give you something to go off of. And one more thing to look at here for those of you who aren't familiar with it, the 1-2 punch perk. If we land every pellet in a single spread, the perk will proc and we will get bonus melee damage. A base melee on Carl is landing for 7,103 points of damage, but we bury a full spread into him and our melee damage jumps to 21,309. This is exactly 3 times that of a base melee. And if you have some way within your class to boost your melee damage, a Titan running Synthoceps is the first thing that comes to mind. The effects of 1-2 punch will multiply that bonus damage, and you can see some insanely high numbers. Alright, on the performance end of things, Retold Tale and other precision frame spread shotguns do have some very nice stat values, but in PvE with a shotgun, I don't think that's the main selling point. I think the perks, generally speaking, are going to be the biggest factor of whether someone would consider a shotgun good or not in PvE. And as we looked at earlier, there are some very nice perks available on Retold Tale now. And this is a fairly shallow perk pool, if you're looking at it next to something like Xenoclast. If you're looking for a specific perk on this weapon, you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting it. And Retold Tale is fairly accessible. Any activity on the Dreaming City, any weekly bounty on the Dreaming City, story missions on the Dreaming City, Shattered Throne Dungeon, they all have a chance of dropping this weapon for you. On top of that, being a legendary weapon, this is easily masterworked for orb generation, and it's not going to burn your exotic slot. And since we are dealing with a shotgun at close range, most red bars are going down in one shot. And if you're dumping shells into a major target, they aren't going to last very long either. For some cons, Retold Tale's issues in PvE are the same issues that all slow firing shotguns see. They're close range only weapons, so to maximize your damage output, you'd need to be in tight. And if you're trying to burst down a boss target, you're open to get stomped. Or at the very least, take some additional damage. This isn't like a rapid fire shotgun where you can just jump in, blow the mag, and jump out in a very short window. It takes time to deliver the damage. But overall, given the good stats and strong perks that Retold Tale can roll with, I think this is going to be a very nice addition to our arsenal. But let's move into PvP though, and see how this weapon is faring in there. Alright, starting out with the damage numbers, and do keep in mind that the pellet spreads are tied to RNG, so there's a lot of inconsistencies with shotguns. And given the manner in which spread shotguns are asked to be used in PvP, I'm gonna just focus on the body shot numbers again. If a pellet does sneak onto the head, it will crit for 22 points of damage, but to ensure we land as many pellets as possible, we need to be aiming at center mass. So here we're seeing pellets land for 19-ish points of damage. So to deal lethal damage to a Guardian running tier 6 resilience or less, we're going to need to land 10 out of 12 pellets. For the damage fall off with Retold Tale, and this one is sitting at a 93 in the range stat. Past 9.5 meters, damage fall off does occur. I was not able to secure a one-hit kill from that 9.5 meter mark though. So I decided to try to measure the weapon's consistency. I started at 5 meters, took 20 shots, and worked my way back at 1 meter increments, and recorded the results. Here on screen, you can see we're all good from up to 6 meters away. Past that, things kinda fell apart. Only securing 6 out of 21 hit kills at 7 meters, and 2 out of 20 at 8 meters. I wasn't terribly happy with the results, so I swapped my other Retold Tale. This one is sporting an 86 in the range stat, but comes equipped with full choke. I repeated the same process over again, and did find better results. Here again, we're perfect through 6 meters. At 7 meters is where we started to see a major improvement. 14 out of 21 hit kills at 7 meters. 10 out of 20 at 8 meters, and at 9 meters, where I couldn't land a one-hit kill with the initial roll tested, I did land 4 with this one. So if you had any doubts about the current effectiveness of full choke, I'm gonna say erase them. Full choke for me is going to remain a must-have barrel option in the Crucible. But I figure since we've already went this deep, we might as well address the elephant in the room. Does Retold Tale perform better than Felwinter's? After 20 more shells emptied at each range, here are the results. No surprise, we're perfect through 6 meters. At 7 meters, 18 out of 20. At 8 meters, 16 out of 20. And I was able to secure 6 one-hit kills from the 9 meter mark. And like I said earlier, pellet spread is tied to RNG. But Felwinter's, with its intrinsic shot package, full choke, and opening shot, plus higher pellet damage, just makes it the more consistent shotgun at longer ranges. One last thing that I wanted to test out with Retold Tale was 1-2 punch. Against Agent Sparkle's Interspectral Blade Super, and do note this is giving her a 54.4% damage resistance. A shotgun blast followed by a melee will deal lethal damage. The pellet spread lands for approximately 105 points of damage, and the melee registers for 137 points of damage. That's 242 points of total damage. So, if you're looking at a Behemoth Titan with 60% damage resistance, this should do the job here too. And given the test results, there's really not a whole lot for me to touch on performance-wise. Does Retold Tale have great stats? Yes. Can Retold Tale roll with some great Crucible-specific perks? Absolutely. Could we up our consistency by proccing Slide Shot or Killing Wind? No doubt. Does Retold Tale have the potential to combat roaming supers in the Crucible? Yes sir. Overall, is this a solid performing shotgun for PvP? I really think it is. Retold Tale is a very nice shotgun. Just going on fuel alone and how it handled itself in-game for me, this weapon is sturdy and this weapon is reliable. But it's not Felwinter's. In the energy slot, Felwinter's remains the most lethal shotgun in PvP. It has too much going for it. And I think that's the only question that really needs to be answered here. Is Retold Tale better than Felwinter's? No, it's not. But Bungie has alluded to the fact that Felwinter's is going to be looked at for a nerf at some point in the future. When and if this time comes, Retold Tale might be the next best option in the energy slot, depending on how things shake out. But until that time comes, it does fall a little bit short of the gold standard of PvP shotguns. For the verdict, Retold Tale certainly has a lot going for it in both PvP and PvE. In the Crucible, it's not Felwinter's, but that doesn't make it a weapon to scoff at. It's good. It's a good shotgun, and can perform well with a solid perk combination. In PvE, while the raw damage output wasn't quite what I had hoped for, there are ways to increase the reload speed, the mag size, or even the weapon's fire rate. So with the right perk selection here, damage can be improved. But just the fact that Retold Tale can roll with 1-2 punch, I think makes it a desirable option. In my opinion, this is 100% a top tier perk on shotguns. And if you build around this perk, it gets exponentially stronger. And just based on this alone, I think Retold Tale is definitely a weapon worth going after. But if you did enjoy this video, please remember to leave it a like, and consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel if you're really digging the content and you'd like to see more. If you'd want to catch me live, I will be streaming right here on YouTube. It's been quite a while, but I do intend on hopping back on one of these days soon. And to contact me, you can look for Ironworker814 on Twitter, join our channel Discord, link will be in the description, or comment down below and I will do my best to get back to you. And with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out this weapon review. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.